Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with a professional killer named the Virtuoso, in the midst of a mission to kill a man, while the man is having fun with a girl. The protagonist talks about the job of a hitman, which requires precision and dedication. Above all, it requires a total lack of emotion. This cold-blooded activity requires having no feelings whatsoever. Neither for the targets, nor for the collateral damage associated with them. In the shadowy world of contract killers, one name looms large, the Virtuoso. A master of his deadly craft, he strikes with precision, leaving no trace behind. After completing a job, he retreats to his isolated cabin, a place where solitude is his only companion. Cleaning his weapons with meticulous care, he maintains the secrecy that has kept him alive for countless years. But one day, an unexpected visitor disrupts his solitary existence, and as the Virtuoso extends a hand of kindness, a connection is formed, an anomaly in his otherwise detached life. Behind this mysterious hitman lies a secretive alliance, with a former military man known only as the Mentor. It is through this enigmatic figure that the Virtuoso receives his lucrative assignments, each task wrapped in an air of secrecy. The dealings unfold through cryptic mail and a clandestine phone call, ensuring no trail leads back to either party. The Mentor's expertise in orchestrating covert operations complements the Virtuoso's impeccable skills, making them a deadly duo. One day, a paper card arrives, revealing the name, location, and time of his next target. Virtuoso's task is to carry out the client's requests, mostly to terminate the subject. The Mentor entrusts Virtuoso with an emergency mission. He must kill a local authority CEO, who has been let go by the judge. The operation must be performed in less than 48 hours, and the client asks that his death look like an accident. The Virtuoso usually takes a long time to plan such visits. Next day, the Virtuoso follows his target and learns his movements. On the decisive day, he prepares to kill his target, but notices a little boy playing with a ball. He chooses to stay focused on the target, and shoots a tire, and the red car crashes into a camper that catches fire. In his haste, he blows the mission, causing collateral damage to a woman, who burns and dies on the road, along with his target. After his first mishap mission, he develops a feeling of remorse. He cannot erase the image, and the child's screams are still loud and audible in his ears. He does not answer the Mentor's call, and is literally furious. A few days later, he meets his mentor near his father's grave. A conversation suggests that the Mentor was his father's friend. Both had been in the army, and being a soldier is Virtuoso's family business. When he talks about the innocent woman who died, the Mentor begins to tell him a story, to signify that there is no room for guilt or remorse in the business. He tells him how he and Virtuoso's father used to fight in the war, and how they were obliged to kill even innocent people, just because their superiors ordered them to do so. When the Mentor approaches him slightly, he pulls out a knife. At this moment, the Mentor realizes that the Virtuoso has changed, and can no longer be trusted as he once did. In the Virtuoso, the Mentor now sees a decaying soldier, a rogue who has gone soft. However, he tells him nothing except to answer his calls, and then leaves. The Virtuoso returns home, and receives a call from the Mentor, who calls him to his office. The Mentor assigns another job to Virtuoso, but this time the client hides a lot of information from him. He is given only a name, White Rivers, and the location and time of the target, which is 5 p.m. at a rustic diner in the city. He gets things ready, and heads into town. On the way, he fills up gas, and meets a beautiful blonde girl. Also, he notices a man acting aggressively with his girlfriend. Soon, the Virtuoso offers to help the girlfriend of the aggressive guy, but she politely refuses, saying she has nowhere else to go. Later, he reaches the place but finds several possible targets there. He cannot decode the meaning of the name White Rivers, so he looks at everyone with suspicion. His list of suspects includes a man, the loner, handsome Johnny, Johnny's girl, and the waitress, the blonde girl. Before the night is over, he must find out the truth about White Rivers and quickly plug the target. He orders coffee and deeply analyzes each person inside the diner. Some time later, a county sheriff enters the diner, and the Virtuoso realizes there is a new player. He tries desperately to identify who White Rivers is, but at 5 p.m., nothing happens. He realizes something is wrong. The waitress approaches to ask if he wants to order something to eat, but he intends to go to the motel, and says he will be back later. At the diner, the sheriff gets into his car and drives away, just as the Virtuoso keeps an eye on him. Then the couple also gets into their car, as he watches them from a distance. The lone man gets into his car, and drives to the motel, where the Virtuoso follows him, as he suspects he is the target. The Virtuoso takes a motel room, and starts pulling all his hitman's tools out of his bag. He then enters the lone man's room, and mixes into his cooler a mixture that would kill any person who drank it. The lone man enters the room, and takes a sip of the drink. The virtuoso surprises him with the gun, and begins to ask him various questions about White Rivers. Surprisingly, the man does not seem frightened, and says he knows nothing about what he is looking for. The man continues to drink, until he has a heart attack and dies. The virtuoso checks his pulse, and leaves. He knows he will get away with this killing, since the lone man already had heart trouble, and enters the lone man's car to look for clues about White Rivers, but finds nothing. Later, he goes to the motel manager, and finds out the lone man's real name, which has nothing to do with White Rivers. Thus, he realizes he was not his target, and continues the mission. Then, he returns to the diner and orders food. However, fearing that the woman might poison the food, he enters the kitchen, and follows her movements. Later, they sit down to eat together, and get to know each other. He tries to ask her questions, asking what she wants this evening, to which she replies she misses spending intimate time with a man. He did not expect such an answer, and after she finishes eating, she leaves, saying she will be at the motel. Once he enters the room, someone knocks on the door, and it is indeed her. She immediately starts to kiss him, but he stops her for a moment. She takes off her jacket and tries to kiss him again. He stops her again and begins to check her for weapons, and asks her who she works for, but the woman looks confused and embarrassed. He still thinks she is not a normal person, but he cannot understand what her plan was, if she does not have a weapon to kill him. The woman says she is a simple person who works in the family diner to help them. Confused and embarrassed, the woman prepares to leave, but he apologizes, and asks her to stay. Next, we see her asleep and him leaving the room. He takes some weapons from the car, and decides to sneak into the house of the couple he saw at the diner, in the search for White Rivers. Inside, he hears a noise coming from the bathroom, and shoots as soon as he sees the woman come out. She hides, and her boyfriend grabs a rifle, and attempts to shoot at the virtuoso. Then follows a hand-to-hand fight between them, that ends with the protagonist shooting him. In the process, the woman escapes to the hut with tools, and the virtuoso follows her. He finds a wound on her belly, and decides to heal it. Then he tries to steal some things from the house, to make it look as if a thief had broken in. Soon, the sheriff arrives, and instead of calling for reinforcements, he takes a rifle and enters the house. The virtuoso goes to his car to check it out, and finds the body of a real sheriff. Here, he realizes that the fake policeman in the house is just a hitman. He gets into his car, and waits for the sheriff to drive away. Next, he drives toward the motel, but on the way, the sheriff, who purposely crashed his own car, signals him to stop. He turns back, and they start talking. After a while, the virtuoso asks the sheriff if he knows anything about White Rivers, and he says he does. Soon, the virtuoso pulls out his gun, and shoots him. The sheriff manages to escape into the woods with his rifle, but he pursues. A shootout ensues. The virtuoso manages to kill the sheriff, who was already wounded anyway. Then he returns to his car, and calls the mentor. He tells him he has accomplished the mission, and needs time to recover. The mentor compliments him, and tells him he is waiting. The virtuoso returns to his room, where he finds the woman naked. After sleeping with her, he takes her passport, which protrudes from her purse. He reads her real name, Blanca Rios, and remembers that she told him her name was Dee when they first met at the diner. He also remembers small details, such as the blood stain on the waitress' dress, and the letter D missing from a label. The woman comes out of the bathroom with a gun. Eventually, they confront each other, and he discovers all the people in the diner were assassins hired by the mentor to kill him. However, the woman was determined that she was the one who would kill him, and not the others. The woman killed the cook and the waitress, to take their place at the diner. She waited for him to enter the diner at the appointed time, which was 5 p.m. She tells him that the mentor wanted him to be happy, and die happy. That is why she made love to him before killing. Before dying, he asks her to check the trunk of his car. In the trunk, he had stored some dog food he had found wandering around the little house in the woods. The woman takes those bags to the virtuoso's wooden house, and points the gun at the dog. But she fails to kill it, and sits thoughtfully in the chair. She has taken the virtuoso's place, both professionally and personally. This is what happens in the world of murder. One killer leaves a void to be filled by another cold-blooded hitman. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.